This is the Sons of UCF podcast, your place for UCF sports talk year-round. Now, here is Adam and Mike.
Yeah, we are back, and we are better than ever rested after a week off of a traditional show for us, but we did have a bunch of shows out. We'll get to all that in a second, but welcome into the 135th edition of the Sons of UCF. My name is Adam, and as always, number one in your program, number one in your hearts, Mr. UCF Mike is back for another week. Mike, welcome back, my friends. Did you enjoy your time away, your week off, maybe your couple of days off from the Sons of UCF podcast?
Yeah, it was a nice little break last week. It was a holiday weekend. I had the day off on Monday. Got a little feisty on Sunday night. I'm glad we took the week off. Now I'm ready to go for another one.
Feisty? What does that mean?
I drank so many beers. I don't know how many on Sunday.
Okay.
We were at the beach all day, and my cousin was in town. And the wife let me hang out there. That was a big mistake on her part. She let me stay there. Just me and him hung out at the bar for like 6 hours afterwards. It was a rough one Monday. I haven't had one of those hangovers in a while. So I had one on Memorial Day.
Well, you said feisty to indicate there was fisticuffs or some sort, or just feisty in terms of okay, all right. I didn't know. I was worried about not that you can't take. I mean, we've all seen you in a tank top. Not that you can't take care of your own, but I was just checking in, making sure you're good.
No, everything is good. Just a little too much to drink that day. All
right, well that'll happen, and maybe you'll get a little too much Sons of UCF tonight, Mike, because we have a fantastic show for the audience as always. Cow of the week will. We'll be back as usual, our staple, probably the one thing we've done for every episode of the Sons of UCF, so you hear Cow of the Week. We have a new Big Three, Mike. This one's a little bit more personal for us again. This is maybe a wish list Big Three on scheduling. We'll get into that. We'll talk about all the recruiting nonsense. A bunch of kids are on campus from high schools. That's a good thing they tell us, but no one knows what the heck it means. We will try to explain some of it to you, although I don't know that we really fully understand it all. And again, another throwback interview edition. I know it seems like we're getting lazy with the interviews, and you know what? You're probably right. But we've had all these great interviews that we have archived, and we're trying to find ways to get these back out to the public. So this week's episode features a throwback to episode number 27. Rashard Causey joined us. A fantastic interview. This is one of the early ones we did. Such a great guy, personable guy. Had a couple of big moments in his UCF career. So we're excited for you to re-listen to Rashard if you've heard it already, and if you haven't heard it, well then it's new to you, and I have a feeling you'll enjoy it.
Rashard was one of my favorite ones early on. He's from down here in Fort Lauderdale, just like us. Went to our rival high school, so we had a nice banter about that. And he's one of my favorite follows on Twitter. I don't know if you follow him. I started following him after that interview, and he posts. He likes a lot of interesting things. Let's just leave it at that.
I think it's at BigPlay21 BIGG is his follow if you want to see what Mike is talking about. Yeah, Rashad's entertaining, and it was an entertaining conversation, and we hope you'll enjoy that, Mike. But before we do all that, let's make sure you understand who we are, what we do. Again, you can find us on all the social media feeds. That's at Sons of UCF. That's Twitter. That's Facebook. That's Instagram. You can follow Mike on Twitter at UCFMike1. You can also follow our YouTube channel at Sons of UCF. There you can get our live show, which is the Sons of UCF Live, starring Trace Trelko, which is on the interwebs every Thursday night on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And then don't forget to find our website, twonightsmedia.com. Everything we do is archived there, so it's a one-stop shop for you to get all Sons of UCF content, including, Mike, we did something different last week. I'm curious how the audience received the new thing we did last week. We did Sunday night conversations, and we brought back two old interviews, two of our favorites that we talked about the week prior on our Big Three segment, Sean Jefferson and Taj McGowan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We'll try to find more ways to bring you Sunday night conversations to get all these interviews back out to your eardrum so you can remember your fellow Knights.
We got to do this over the summer. There's a lot of people that haven't heard any of these, so it's a cool way to do it. And let's face it, I mean, sometimes 2 hours here and another hour on Thursday is just not enough for you people. You can't get enough of us. If you haven't heard the old ones, then go back and listen to those. You can't find them anywhere unless we post them again, so that's what we're doing for you.
That is, we are a full-service operation, so we appreciate you enjoying and listening to and supporting all of those endeavors, and we definitely look forward to continuing to hopefully bring you entertaining stuff week after week, Mike. But let's start off this week. Again, kind of bit of a dull season for UCF. Not a lot of things going on. Baseball is officially now done for the year. Softball now done for the year. Tennis now done for the year. So there's not a lot of team sports left. Really the biggest news coming out right now, Mike, is with the football program. The recruiting dead period ended officially on June 1. As you and I record this on June 7, UCF had a flurry of activity over the weekend, a bunch of kids on campus, a lot of unofficial visits. There were some 7-on-7 camps. We saw a lot of kids taking pictures and holding up numbers and signs and God knows what else. And who knows what all that stuff means, Mike. But first things first, there seemed to be a bevy of excitement around a bunch of kids being on campus. How excited are you to kind of see the recruiting stuff get back? And how exciting is it, do you think, for UCF to be back in the mix and see some of these talented kids from Florida and beyond on campus?
First of all, has anybody checked on Gus? Is his hair actually on fire right now? I think that it is. And he's getting very serious into this recruiting thing now. He says this is the biggest month in UCF history, probably, with the way the recruiting is going. And it's already been a hot start. The first couple of days, today is only, the 7th? So, yeah, he's been hitting it pretty hard. We saw the additions to the football building with the wallpapers and all the stuff they did to spruce things up for these guys. And now he's getting the big names finally to step on campus. This week coming up is what they're calling Bounce House Weekend. This is the weekend where they're bringing in the top recruits. Everybody that's coming in this weekend is somebody they want bad. This is one of the biggest targets are coming in this weekend. And if he can get a couple of commitments coming out of here, we'll be off to a hot start.
Yeah, a lot of big names. And again, the reality is we do this every year when we talk about recruiting. We don't know what these names mean. They have stars attached to them and whether that means they'll be successful or not, Mike. But, I mean, there are a lot of 4 or 5-star guys who are potentially stopping by campus for Bounce House Weekend. A lot of big names were on campus this past weekend for 7-on-7. Some of the sites, Brandon Helwig, Jason Beatty, they do a great job of chronicling that stuff, and they've got their pay sites that you can go check out. Some of the more detailed stuff on all that. But Mike, what does it mean? Do you think it's a big deal that we're getting some of these 4-star big name type kids to actually show up to campus? Is that really a big deal, or is that just kind of being the runner up to the prom queen?
Well, it's going to be a big deal if we actually sign them. Right now, it's nice to get them on campus. We have had big name players come here before. Let's face it, a lot of kids might just want to get the free trip out of it. They have no plans on coming to UCF, but it's a cool city to go to. It's a nice destination. Maybe they come here. Maybe they go to Disney World, whatever else they do. Maybe it's on their way to Gainesville. It's on their way to Tallahassee. And they just use us as a free trip. You're allowed a certain amount of visits, and they take it. But this year seems different. This year seems like these kids that are coming here are actually taking UCF seriously. They're giving us a good look with Malzahn here in town now. I think he's got some trust built up in him, and he's got the reputation where guys think he can come here and they can play for a championship team. And they've seen now all the guys that we're putting in the NFL, even before Malzahn got here. The UCF is a place you can come to. You can still make the NFL from here and have a good football career in college. So I think this is big, but it's only big if we can get guys to actually commit. I mean, we've been here before, so let's close the deal on a couple of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, committing is huge. Obviously, that's what we need. That's what we're looking for. And what's interesting is, a lot of these kids obviously are class of 2022, class of 23, class of 24. So some of this might not even pay off right away. And even if we're able to ink some of these guys, then you got to hold on to them through the duration. But what's funny, Mike, is you mentioned kids coming from, getting a free trip to Orlando. A lot of the kids over this last weekend, they were from Orlando. So these are hometown kids, and that's one area that we've talked about, week after week on the show, is how do we keep these kids inside of Orlando? How do we build that quote-unquote wall around the Central Florida area? Every year I feel like we do interviews with players, and they're from someplace in Orlando, and we always ask them, how did you get out of the backyard, not going to UCF? And every year it kind of boggles us that we don't get these kids right out of high school and we have to wait for the transfer stuff. Well, they're getting some of these kids to actually show up on campus now. And I think that's a huge part about it. I mean, today I think it's expected that Jalen Glover, who is a running back from Lake Gibson, he's a 4-star guy, class of 2022, 5'9", 190. He's got a pretty good offer list. I think he just fresh off a visit from Tennessee, according to his Twitter account. He's on campus, and it feels like, did we get those guys? We have Derek LeBlanc. He's a 4-star prospect in 2023 from Kissimmee. Again, were these guys previously coming to campus? These are hometown kids. This is how you win in the recruiting game. If we keep these 2 kids right here at home, that's 2 4-stars that we keep out of other schools, that we put in UCF's pipeline. And to me, yeah, that's a game changer. If we can figure out more ways to do this, this will be a game changer. Now, obviously, it's a long way to go. But I think it'll be huge if Gus can pull off one or both or something along the lines of keeping these hometown 4-star kids in Orlando.
Well, I think that was part of the genius of opening up practices in the spring. And he's got a lot of these kids ready to come in here last month, a couple months ago when they were running these practices, and the coaches of these teams to bring the whole teams in. And just this past week, they had 7-on-7 camps for the offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Again, get a whole crop of these kids in. Not only kids for this year, but kids for next year and the year after that. And the more times these kids come to campus, the more familiar they are with it, the more they build the relationship with these coaches, the better it is. And now this kid, for example, came here for a spring game practice, watched that. Maybe he came for the spring game. Now he's got a visit now. Then he's going to come again for the opener against Boise State. I mean, he comes to this campus 4 or 5 times. He's meeting with these guys. He's getting to know the other guys on the team. That just makes him feel more and more comfortable. They see the environment around here. That's what it takes to sign some of these big-time guys. And maybe these guys don't go off to schools like NC State or Kansas or Minnesota. These out-of-state programs, we get these guys right away instead of having to wait for next year after they head up there and then they find it's not for them and they want to come back to Florida.
Well, yeah, I think that's how you win, right? That's how, Gus can sort of do the recruiting like his hair's on fire piece, if he can figure that part out, because I think there's so much talent here. We've seen it before. And if we can stop these guys from leaking out of Central Florida and going to, Indiana and Maryland and Pitt and all these other schools, I think that'll put UCF on top, Mike. But you mentioned Bounce House Weekend. I know there's probably a list floating around the internet. I don't know if we know officially or firmly who is attending Bounce House Weekend, Mike, but this is kind of showcased for Gus to sort of show off UCF. We saw a sneak preview, or maybe we saw the full preview, I don't know, with what you saw in terms of the changes to the football building and some of the new murals that are up, some of the new signs that went up, some of the new graphics, pictures, video boards, all that stuff. So I assume, Mike, do you think Gus is pulling out all the stops? Do you think we're getting some new wrinkles for the kids on campus this weekend at Bounce House Weekend?
Yeah, I mean, he's got some tricks up his sleeve, I'm sure. Didn't we see him send a cake to some kid's mom for her birthday?
Smooth. Really smooth, yes.
Anything goes with Gus right now. I'm sure he's got T-Will working on a few rap lyrics for each one of these recruits coming in. I mean, the coaching staff that he assembled, he's got young guys that can relate to these players. G.J. Kinney is already – you saw pictures of him with Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback commit that we already have. I think that's huge for these guys. So I think – Gus has probably learned some tricks being in the SEC all these years. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but who knows? Anything goes now. We're a big-time program. If we want to sign some of these big-time guys, Gus knows the routes to do it, knows what we have to do to get that done. So I'm not going to be surprised if we land 1 or 2 big ones coming out of this weekend.
Well, we got to land and then we got to hold them, obviously, and it's a long cycle, obviously, and that becomes a bit of a challenge, Mike. You mentioned T-Will. I mean, he's another one that, a lot of the kids are posing pictures with him, and it seems like his energy has just been infectious, Mike. I mean, can you even put into words, in your opinion, how, just from a recruiting standpoint alone, how much of an upgrade do you think this staff is over the previous staff?
Well, everybody did say how much they love Randy Shannon. I'm not going to say anything about him recruiting-wise. He was supposed to be the guy that came in from South Florida. Even guys like Willie Martinez and who was the other one I'm forgetting that was from down south?
Corey Bell,
right. They were supposed to come in and bring all the Miami guys up. They did an okay job with that. I think we could have done better. This group now, T-Will is the guy I'm looking for to close the deal on a lot of these guys. He's the guy that Malzahn brought in, not only for his defensive coaching prowess, but exactly for the recruiting. He's the guy that Malzahn says has the it factor to go on one day and be the head coach somewhere. I think he's going to be the difference in this recruiting cycle. And these guys are not just recruiting Florida. Yes, that's the main target, but also Malzahn's got ties to big-time players in Alabama. And one of the top players in Alabama is coming in for this. I think it's this weekend too. And Georgia, and all those are the 3 states that we're really going to focus on and go after the top players in each one of these states.
All right, well, we'll keep you updated on all that. Again, some of the names are probably start coming out more and more, as the weekend gets closer in terms of who will be here for Bounce House weekend and previous weekends. Again, a lot of kids are taking official, unofficial type visits. You're seeing a lot of kids who are enjoying their time. Again, if you're not following either Brandon Helwig or Jason Beatty at either of those sites, you should definitely check those guys out. They do a fantastic job keeping everybody updated, getting some nuggets, talking to some of these kids after their time on campus. So, we'll definitely make sure we stay close to that, and you guys should do the same as well, Mike. Something else that hit over the weekend, late Friday, your now good friend, Mr. Terry Mohajir, was interviewed in the Orlando Sentinel, and Mike, he talked a lot about some of the same things that you and mentioned, or that when your conversation with him and what we've heard afterwards, one of which was facilities. And he said again that they've got to have sustainable facilities for the programs, and they're looking at every sport and the process of a master plan. We had Carlos McCants on the live show on Thursday night, and he referenced the lofty goals that are going to be in place for fundraising. Where do you think we stand on facilities, Mike? Do you see us as far behind as Timo does, or do you think that's kind of much ado about nothing?
Well, it depends on who you're comparing us to. If you're comparing us to the P5 schools, we're very far behind. There's only so much we can do about that. We only have so much money. Even other teams in the American, depending on which sport you're talking about, we may be far behind on some of those too. Things like our baseball stadium. Our baseball stadium is not really very nice at all. Let's just face it, that thing has been put together piece by piece, over the years. There's no charm to it, really. And if you look at some of these other baseball stadiums around the country, we're way behind in that. The scoreboard doesn't even work. The softball stadium is nothing impressive either. Those two sports can use a big upgrade. Basketball, we're okay. The arena is pretty nice. I'll say the arena is nice, but that's pretty new. And it's talking about over 12 years old now, too. 13, 14 years old. Yeah. So, but there's a long ways to go. The soccer is like a set of bleachers on the side. There's big things that can be done. We asked them about the lazy river, if that's still in the plans. That may not be in top priority anymore. That was something that was more of a Danny White thing that we were coming up with. That may still happen, but I wouldn't look for that to be one of the next things that gets done. I think we got a lot of stuff that's still ahead that we can improve on. I think starting with the baseball stadium.
Well, he mentioned expansion of the bounce house as well, and he essentially said that they're looking at expansion, and that obviously it's something that they're doing more from a revenue generation perspective than just trying to make it the biggest, gaudiest stadium. I know that stadium expansion has been a hot topic, and obviously you win, you get butts and seats, you sell those seats. Where do you stand on stadium expansion? Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think that's something we should sort of table and take care of other needs first?
Yeah, I don't think we need to add 10,000, 20,000 seats, anything like that. If you look at the landscape of sports in general, even professional sports, everything's trending towards smaller stadiums. I mean, with the pandemic that just hit, and even before that, just people watching games from home is people find that to be a better experience. I know college is a little bit different. The atmosphere is a little different than that from a professional game. You get the fanfare with the bands and you get the students and all that. It is a different animal altogether. But I think still there's no need to really add 20,000 seats. If you want to improve on the stadium we have, I'm all for that. Yeah. So you want to make upgrades. You want to add a concourse in the second level of the stadium so people don't have to go up and down all the way to the bathrooms, go all the way downstairs. I'm all for that. Add concessions all around the stadium. I'm for that. If you want to add an expansion for the tower and add more luxury seats, yes, I think that's a great idea. Adding another 20,000 seat upper deck, I don't think is necessary right now.
Well, he mentioned specifically in his answer that they want to get more students into the game, so they want to find more ways to get obviously get the on campus students there and student body there, which won't be revenue generating in some respects, Mike. But obviously there's typically been demand, and there's a lot of stadium. A lot of seats on campus in the stadium there that are filled at halftime and they aren't full afterwards. And so it'd be interesting to see if he can figure out a way to get student expansion up there, because that definitely is something I think that it's interesting if he can figure out a way to pull that off.
All right, and you're talking about end zone seats. Maybe you want to add like a standing room for the students up by the end zone somewhere. Okay, I could see some of that, but you're right. How much money are you making on those? Yeah. Not much. If you want to say they extend the beer sales throughout the entire stadium and they want to start making money that way, that's cool. But then you got to give the people in the cabanas and the stadium club something else for their money. Why would they buy tickets there if you can buy beer somewhere else? So maybe you give them unlimited beer, or you give them food included, or some other kind of perks to sit in those seats.
Last thing that was brought up was scheduling. This has been a hot topic of conversation. Like, a couple of quotes out of this I thought were interesting. He was asked about the FAU series, and he pretty much flatly said, hey, look, we had no other options. Like, it was just us and them. I did not want to have to do this. I didn't want to start off on the road, but they desperately needed games. We had no one else to schedule, and so we took FAU. Mike, well, I'm all for the transparency. He was pretty blunt in his answer, which was, I had to take what I can get, and FAU looks like is all he could get, at least in the very near future.
He did tease that with me that one time, that he has somebody else in mind. He hasn't signed the deal with it, so he's not going to say who it is. We're all waiting for that. Maybe that comes later this summer. But, he's kind of put behind the eight ball the way Danny White set him up the last couple of years, saying he's only going to do 1-for-1s, and now Timo has to kind of go back and go groveling to these schools. Like, okay, we'll accept for 2-for-1. What else do you have to offer us? Maybe he can get a neutral site kickoff classic somewhere down the line. I'm not sure what his options are. He's going to have to go back on UCF's stance, what we've been going for the last couple of years, though.
Well, it seems like he's trying to distance himself, because he was asked specifically about home games or neutral site games, and he was like, we'll play anything that excites us. We'll go overseas. We're looking at everything and anything right now. We need games. Most schools are scheduling between 28 and 2033 right now. So he pretty flatly said that he'll do anything he needs to do, Mike, which obviously is the sort of anti-Danny White sentiment on that particular issue.
Overseas is interesting. We did kick off the season once in Ireland. So I think they're starting to do that game again. I don't know if we're going to do Ireland again, but what about Mexico? Fans will be down for a Mexico trip, and the NFL is having games there now too, right? It's not too far. You can make a vacation out of it. I don't know where else you'd start. You're going to go to England, things like that. I think you got to get somewhere closer to home. But, he's willing to go anywhere, and he's letting it be known. So people that get on us for our scheduling, at least it's out there now. We're not backing down from anybody. Who wants to play us now? Let's do it. We'll take it on your terms.
Well, he said, we're going to continue to call schools, but we're good enough where people hesitate not to play us. So I think that's the challenge is, are those schools that are going to be willing to play us out there? Now, maybe if he entices them with these 2-for-1 deals or one plus a neutral, maybe that entices a school to take on that challenge. But it'll be interesting to see which schools are willing to line up. I wonder how many people are kind of slow playing it this year to kind of see what kind of squad Gus is putting together. If it really is sort of the renaissance that people say Gus has been, if he's really this reborn coach who's going to play call his way to great wins, or if it's something different. I wonder how many people are going to slow play it just to kind of see what UCF is post-Heupel, post-Frost, and what sort of the new regime brings.
So if we win a lot of games this year, it's going to get harder for us to schedule these guys? Nobody's going to want to play us even more.
It's not going to get easier, right?
It seems like a lose-lose situation. Other than he starts calling teams out. He did mention teams by name. He said he wanted to play all the big-time names you've heard. Right?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, I got it right here. I'd like to play USC. I'd like to play Notre Dame. I'd like to play Texas. I would love to play Michigan. I would like to play Ohio State. I would like to play Penn State. I would like to play Miami, Florida State, Florida. I want to play them all. I think Gus does too. We'll play them in a phone booth if we have to. That would be interesting if they were playing in a phone booth.
So it sounds like he might even be down for a one-off game at any of those stadiums. Like we played at Michigan, like we played at Ohio State, like we used to do at Florida and at Alabama, who had never invited us back after we beat them on homecoming. He's down for that. And, right now, I guess we have to take it. So it is what it is. And if somebody has the balls to play us, then let's do it.
Well, Terry has his wish list coming up, perhaps foreshadowing the big three. Mike and I have our wish list as well, so we'll get to that too. Quickly, Mike, we didn't get a chance to talk about it on the pod. We did on the live version, though. The baseball team, the season has come to an end. A heartbreaker in the American Conference Championship Final, 8-7 to the Cows, sends UCF home, sends the Cows to the tournament where, as of tonight, Mike, they actually won the region. So the Cows are heading to the Super Regional, so they're moving on to the essentially the second weekend, the second round, if you will, of the tournament there. UCF goes home. Mike, summarize this season for us. Is this I know we graded it on the show this week. Summarize your thoughts on the baseball season. You're a baseball guy. I know that you follow this team closely. Where are we now, and where do we go from here?
Well, overall, the season was a disappointment. I did have high expectations for this team, especially coming off last year, where it was a shortened season, but we looked really good. And then to start off this year, we hit a little bump there against FAU in the opener series, but then looked like we were going to turn things around, beat Ole Miss a couple times, and they were a highly ranked team. It looks like we had potential. The talent was there, just never seemed to put it together. Played as a 500 team all year long. But like I said, it was baseball, just like basketball, just like anybody else. If you win the conference, you can still go far and do whatever you want. I keep bringing up that Fresno State team from 2010 that won it all with a losing record. And lo and behold, here we are. We get to the conference tournament and we get hot. And we ride that thing all the way to the final and come up just short against the Cows of all teams, the freaking Cows. And now look what they've done. They were no better than us this season. They were about the same record. And they get into the tournament. They go up to Gainesville. They win the region up there with Florida and Miami in that bracket. They end up having to beat South Alabama to get to the super regional, something that we've never done. Now the Cows have that on us. And those guys are 2 wins away from the College World Series. I want to puke in my mouth right now, even thinking about it. That could have been us. If we win that game, we lost by 1, right? 8-7 in the championship game. Who's to say we wouldn't be in their shoes right now? With a shot at the super regional. Are you kidding me? 2 wins away from the College World Series. It's not that far-fetched. Baseball is a crazy game where the best team does not always win. Basketball, you have the best player on the court. 9 times out of 10, you're going to win that game. Baseball is not that way. You get hot and you can ride that thing, and that seems to be what the Cows are doing. We could have done it, and yet it's another season gone by the wayside, and it's pretty disappointing. Hopefully Lovelady can reload this thing and get it straightened out for next year.
Why did you say South Alabama like you were disgusted?
I don't know, because, I mean, out of the 4 teams in that bracket, you're telling me the final is going to be the Cows versus South Alabama? You got Miami and Florida are 2 perennial college baseball powerhouses, and those are the first 2 to leave. I would have never bet money on that, would you? They were the 3 and the 4 seeds to play in the championship game today.
No, I just thought the shade for South Alabama was fantastic. I don't know what they did to you, Mike, but I'm here. I think they're the Jaguars, too, if I have that right, which is good. Other interesting news from the basketball program today, Mike announced, and I just want to bring this up because I think I can actually say this guy's name. A new coach has been added to the staff, Mamadou N'Diaye, who spent some time in the NBA and definitely has a long pedigree of coaching and playing. He has joined the UCF staff as an assistant coach. He did play at Auburn. That's where he went to school. And so maybe another UCF Auburn tie that has nothing to do with the football program, Mike. But Mamadou N'Diaye is here, and the rumors are that he was a big part of getting the UNLV transfer, whose name I'm not going to pronounce because I cannot pronounce. And maybe he's got an in on Taco Fall's little brother, who's not so little. So Mamadou N'Diaye, welcome to the UCF basketball staff, Mike. I know you've got a lot of Mamadou N'Diaye research at your fingertips. Your thoughts on the hire?
Well, you're breaking news to me because I haven't heard that yet.
Well, here we
go. You just wanted to say it.
I did.
You wanted to say Mamadou 4 times, and you did it.
I did.
I said it once now.
Mm-hmm.
Mama named him Mamadou. I'm going to call him Mamadou. I just know the name. I don't remember ever watching him play. I couldn't tell you which NBA team he played for, but I do. The name is familiar just because it's such a unique name.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of the guys playing college basketball these days know that name too. If I know that name, they definitely know that name. What kind of career did he have in the NBA?
I'm glad you asked, Mike. He played for the Raptors, the Mavericks, the Hawks, and then the Clippers. He's been coaching for a while. He was at the University of San Francisco, the other USF. He was also an assistant coach at Coastal Carolina and at Georgia Tech. So he's definitely been around a little bit. Big guy too, I believe. He's over 7 feet, maybe really close to 7 feet. I don't have his height in front of me here, but maybe helps with our big men. Maybe gives them some coaching down the blocks. You never know, Mike, but a good addition to the UCF staff, hopefully.
The tallest coach on our coaching staff now, for sure. Is that right?
I would think so. Yeah, I would think he has to be. I mean, I don't know if I can spell his name right to actually get his height. We can try to do this live here on the show. Mamadou. How do you think spell Mamadou for me?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't think it's anything like it sounds. It's not Mamado, right? I don't think. It's probably like a.
You're not far off. You're not far off. It's Mamadou. So you were not far off. Right. And according to Wikipedia, he is 7 feet 5 inches tall.
Wow, that's a big boy. So that's going to help. The play from our big men hasn't been great, especially since Taco has left. And even Taco was an experiment, really, for the first couple years. He got better. He played his best games the last couple of weeks of his career. But anything can help, man. This guy has got NBA pedigree, and he can come in and use his experience to help some of these guys on this roster. I'm all for it. And if he helps in recruiting, even better.
Hold on a second. Now, as I'm reading that, there may be multiple Mamadou N'Diayes out there.
What? So this is not the same guy?
No, because this guy, there's no way this is the right Mamadou N'Diaye. This guy,
how many 7'5" Mamadou N'Diayes?
I don't know. I don't know how many. Let me Google how many Mamadou N'Diayes do I get here.
Is Mamadou?
Because this guy went to a UC. This is the guy. Hold on. This is the guy that we played against recently when we played in a tournament. Him and Taco Fall were like the two tallest people to play together. That's one Mamadou N'Diaye. There's another Mamadou N'Diaye though. Where's this guy from? I gotta figure this out. Hold on. What the? Yeah, this is.
Are you telling me Mamadou is just a common name like Bob, where he comes from?
I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you that.
Everybody's name is Mamadou?
Mamadou N'Diaye.
N'Diaye is kind of just like Jones?
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. This can't be the same. So I don't know how tall the other Mamadou N'Diaye is. I think there's a slash in somebody's name. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I'm not searching the slash right.
So is this the guy that played in the NBA?
According to his bio from UCF, he did play in the NBA.
All right, so we got the better of the Mamadou N'Diaye as far as we know.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna need a better breakdown for me to tell you that definitively. I feel like, I don't know. Can we start calling you Mamadou N'Diaye, or how do we do this? Is that not nice?
As long as we don't get Mamadou N'Diaye, I think we're all right.
I see what you did there. All right. Well, that's news from around the UCF world. Again, a lot of what's happening these days is still kind of speculative. So we'll see. Again, a lot of guys on campus. I will say, Mike, it seems like that space uniform is a popular one. A lot of kids wearing that space uniform, and I can confirm the other Mamadou N'Diaye, he's 7 feet tall.
Wow. So you don't get that name Mamadou unless you know you're gonna be a tall one, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any relation. They're both from Senegal, so I don't know if they're related or not.
I'm telling you. Let's look up names, popular kids' names in Senegal. Mamadou is right there behind Taco.
Well, we'll do that during the break. Yeah, we'll look that up for you during the break. But after the break, you return and you will hear Mike and I give you our new big three this week. We talked about scheduling. You may see that reappear right here. So don't move a muscle. Mamadou N'Diaye and the Sons of UCF back right after this.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn, and you should listen to the Sons of UCF like your hair's on fire. Go Knights and charge on.
All right, we are back for a big three segment this week, Mike, and we kind of foreshadowed this a second ago. But Terry Mohadra threw out his list of all the schools that he wants to play. He wants to play them all, and he wants to play them in a phone booth. I would recommend a football field, but what do I know? So that got us to thinking, who are the schools that you and I would want to see UCF play? And here are the stipulations as we thought about our list. So first of all, these are going to be true home and homes. So this is not a one-off. We're thinking about home and homes that we would like to see UCF schedule. And the only real rule that we have here is that it cannot be a team that is currently on UCF's schedule. So that obviously means some of the non-cons that are scheduled and some of the or any of the conference opponents, obviously, because they've already been on our schedule. The factors that we can use, Mike, it could be location, it could be tradition, it could be exposure, it could be you just want a revenge game against somebody. Any and all ideas are welcome. So our big three on schools that we want to play a home and home with. I should also say You're going to have to suspend reality for a second. Mike and I did not go and look and see if there are open dates between these two schools, things like that. This is just our own list. In a perfect world, these are the schools that we would like UCF to do a home and home for. Once again, we will do this draft order style, right, where somebody gets the first pick, and then somebody gets the next 2 picks, and so on and so forth, Mike. So since I will cede to you again, I think you won the Twitter vote last week over whose big 3 people appreciated more in terms of Sons of UCF guests. Your list beat my list, so I think by rules of fairness, you were the winner, so you were the returning champion, which means you should get first pick this time around again, Mike. So I will give you first pick on your home and home matchups.
All right, so that's how we're going to do it going forward. Whoever wins the Twitter poll gets first pick next week.
As long as I remember to put a Twitter poll up, yes.
All right, sounds good. I think I'm going to go a little off the board on some of these this week. I know people are probably thinking they're going to hear some, and maybe you, with this whole draft thing, I think I'm going to pick something that I don't know, maybe I'm going to surprise you with a couple of these. But if I have the number 1 pick, I'm going to go with, I'm taking in all those things you put into the criteria, right? Prestige, location, all that stuff. And to me, one of the biggest names in college football, and it has been for as long as I can remember, and way before I was even born, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Son of a bitch.
Give me some games with them. And there's a few reasons. Number 1, I'm not jealous of the Cows often, but the Cows have played these guys already twice, and they have 2 more games coming against them. But I go back to 2011 when they played them the first time. I remember watching that. It was a season opening game. We were playing Charleston Southern that day, and these guys would get to open the season in South Bend against Notre Dame. I was like, what? I don't know. I didn't like it. Not only that, they won the game. So I remember watching part of that game. I think I was in the Alumni Center watching some of that game when it started. The Cows returned a 96-yard fumble for a touchdown. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Notre Dame was ranked pretty high that day. And I just remember saying, why do they keep getting these games and we don't? And then just recently, I mean, I know they got blown out 52-0 last year, but they do have 2 other games scheduled with them. That's one reason. Another reason is I think in the last few years, especially when we've been talking about making the playoff, that's a team where they seem to get in the playoff every year. And it bothers me because I think we've been better than them a lot these last few years. A couple years ago when Mackenzie Milton came out and said, we had that common matchup, what was it, Pitt game, and we blew out Pitt, and they, I think, had a close one with them or whatever it was. And I felt we were better than them that year. I felt we were better than them in 2017. I thought we were better than them a lot recently. And they get into the playoff every year, and they get their doors blown off every single time. It just makes me think, why can't they get that spot to us? And they get it because of their reputation. So I'd like to get them head-to-head, another reason. And another thing is with the location, that's a close trip to Chicago. You want to make a big weekend out of it. You want to make a 4 or 5 day trip. You go up to South Bend, get a little bit of football history, and then you go over to Chicago. That's a big-time city. Maybe it's early in the year. Maybe you go catch a Cubs game. You go to Wrigley Field. You do something like that. Maybe the Bears are in town. You go to a game at Soldier Field. You make a whole weekend trip out of it. My number 1 pick in the draft, give me Notre Dame. Give me the history. Wake up the Echoes. Give me all that stuff. Play like a champion today. That's one of the stadiums that I want to cross off the bucket list. If we get on that schedule, I'll make that road trip to Notre Dame.
Man, that was you took one right off my list for very very similar reasons. I think the prestige of going to that stadium, I think it would be a cool bucket list type experience. And listen, UCF's gotten a bunch of guys from Notre Dame in the last couple of seasons. Parker Boudreaux, Brandon Wimbush, obviously Jordan Johnson this year. Jonathan McCollister, I think, was another guy. So there's a tad bit of a connection. So maybe going up there and whipping those guys would show Orlando kids you don't need to go freeze your ass off in Indiana to play good football. But I think the prestige, the history of Notre Dame being on campus, all that stuff would be pretty cool. And so I had Notre Dame on my list too, but now that they are drafted, I will have to take them off, Mike. So then that means I have to go to my first round pick. And this one's going to seem kind of boring, maybe a little, it's not as exciting as others. But my first pick for a school that I want to schedule a home and home with is the Auburn Tigers. Give me the Gus Malzahn revenge tour, please. Obviously, Gus is now with UCF. He's riding with us, and I would love to let Gus go back to Auburn with a talented UCF squad, with an offense that people said the SEC, he was past his time and he couldn't do it anymore, and he couldn't develop quarterbacks and he couldn't do anything. I'd love to see Gus go back into Jordan Hare and just lay a 40-piece on Auburn and all the boosters who wanted him out and all that stuff. Gus is our guy now, Mike, so our guy needs revenge, and I think we need to get him revenge. Plus, getting Auburn back down to UCF would be a cool thing too. We've owned Auburn. We've had their number in football. We've had their, well, except for that one time. We've had their number in basketball recently. We've had their number in baseball. So we certainly have had our way with Auburn. And I think in the name of Gus Malzahn, I want Auburn back in the schedule. Let's let Gus rectify some wrongs. Give me the Auburn Tigers for a home and home.
Yeah, I can get with that one. It's an SEC school. It's a big name. And we are 1-3 all time against Auburn and should be 2-2. We know the 98 game. We've heard the Saya Burley story of what happened there. That game was ours, and we blew it. Should be 2-2, but the Gus Malzahn twist to it is a nice little feature. I could get behind that. Auburn fans actually are pretty cordial fans. I like them. They're not, jackasses like Gator fans and a couple other fan bases we've run into in the past. I can deal with the series with Auburn. That could be a fun one. Wouldn't have been my number one pick, but you got another pick here coming with. Right?
Yeah, so here's my first pick of the second round, so my second school, Mike. And again, I tried to think about a couple different options. At first, I was thinking about what location would I want to travel to if I could. And sure, you think about some of the tropical stuff, Hawaii. Am I really going to make a trip to Hawaii to watch UCF play? Sure, I'd love to, but is that feasible? And so I started thinking around, like, where would I want to go see a game? What has a really cool atmosphere? And then I started thinking about styles. And I added a couple of those together. And while this isn't necessarily a location that I think anyone would love to go vacation to, I think it's a cool stadium atmosphere, as most things are. And for me, it's a style type of game, Mike. UCF, obviously, when we hired Scott Frost, we rebranded as UCF Fast, and that's kind of been our thing. We suspect we'll have the same sort of tempo against Gus Malzahn, but with Gus Malzahn, excuse me. But you've seen us raise the level of tempo. You've seen us, come with a lot of different uniform combinations. So, Mike, why not go after the school that put that stuff on the map and take their throne? That's right, home and home with the Oregon Ducks. We're flying out to Autzen, which always looks like a pretty crazy atmosphere on TV when you see the stadium. It's like the birthplace of Nike. It's the birthplace of the Chip Kelly up-tempo offense, a million uniform combinations. Why not go to Oregon and out Oregon, and show them kind of who we are and sort of take their throne as that up-and-coming, fast-tempo, cool uniform school. Plus, I think it's a cool environment, cool atmosphere. So give me the Oregon Ducks and UCF Knights home and home as my second round pick.
That could be a fun one. That's the program I think we kind of modeled ourselves after when Frost came in, with the offense and the style and all that stuff. They are what we would look like if we had that much money. Yep. They get all that Nike money. They have their stadium is not much bigger than ours. I think it's right around 50,000, something like that. Maybe they've added on to it recently, but it's not much bigger, but it's a loud atmosphere just like us. They got the fancy uniforms that the kids like, just like us. That would be a fun one. I think that was cool. That's a team where I think if we ever got into a P5 conference, we'd be just like them. Remember, they were making the national championship game a couple times, I think. Mm-hmm. They were in the playoff. The first year there was a playoff. So I think we could be a team like that. Now, they haven't done anything the last couple years, but that's a team where they're respected nationally, and they're always in the rankings. If they get off to a good start, everybody thinks that they can make a run there. So that could be a fun series. I don't know what you're going to – where is it? What city in Oregon are they? It's not Eugene. Right?
Yeah, I think it's Eugene. Yeah, I think it's Eugene.
I mean, I don't know what else you're doing there while you're there. But that could be a cool trip.
All right, so I've got Mike on board. Mike on board with Oregon. All right, yeah, it is back to you.
All right. I got one now. I'm going after one of the big boys, one of the teams that has been one of the best in recent times, the last few years, and it's a drivable game, something not too far, and it's a team we have a little history with. We played them one time, and we lost. And we lost in 2001, 21-13, where they pulled out a fake field goal with now USF head coach Jeff Scott. A game another one that we were right in there to the very end where we could have won. And let's slip away. We back to those years where we didn't have the depth to finish off the games against these teams. But the Clemson Tigers have been the standard now. Along with Alabama, I want revenge for that game. And if you win a game against Clemson, you're automatically in consideration for the playoff. I think you have to be, no matter what conference you're in. We saw what Notre Dame did this year. They beat them even with the backup quarterback, and they got put into the playoff. That's the team now. They've been unbeatable. They've lost just a handful of games in the last couple of years. I'd love to play Clemson. I'd love to have them come into Orlando. I think that's a good fun. Another fan base that gets it. They have a lot of history. One of the winningest colleges in all time. I think they're top 20. So give me Clemson. And I know we said home and home, but that could be a fun one. Let's meet halfway in the middle. You want to do a kickoff classic in Atlanta, where their fan base is not far for them and it's not far for us. Either way, I'm good for a home and home and then +1 with a neutral site. If they're willing to do it, I'd love to play Clemson.
Yeah, perennial power. Obviously, that'll be a game with a lot of eyeballs if they were ever willing to play us. Their stadium atmosphere looks pretty cool. The way they sort of run down the hill there, touch the rock, all that good stuff. Trevor Lawrence has left. We'll see kind of what the program looks like. Dabo Swinney seems to have established himself as a top tier coach. So that could be a fun one too. I could be in for a little road trip to Clemson. To your point, it's drivable for a lot of UCF fans. Probably a nice college town. A lot of stuff to do kind of at the nights for the nights rather. So I could be on board with Clemson. I'm with you on that one.
Right, and if you want to make a stop over in Atlanta and hang out there for a weekend, you got that option too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's your turn now for your final selection for Big Three home and home.
All right. I got a lot of places I have written down here.
Yeah.
And I try to figure out which one I want. And I think I'm surprising a lot of people where I'm not taking the Gators, which I think was one of the obvious ones that, one reason is I don't want to see Gators in my stadium. When we played the Cows on that Black Friday game, I had a cow sitting right in front of me in the cabana. I know there's going to be people that just sell those tickets and make obnoxious amounts of money just to get all their season ticket money back, and letting Gators into my cabana seats. I don't want to see that. I don't even. And then we got to scrub down the whole stadium after those guys leave because of the stench that they leave behind. Right. I really don't want to see the Gators in our stadium. I get the whole 1-for-1, blah, blah, blah. We're never going to see it anyway. So I crossed them off my list. Miami, kind of the same thing goes. Kind of a scumbag fan base. They've already been in our stadium once. I don't like them either. Get them out of here. I'm staying out of the whole state of Florida. So then I still have like 5 other ones. I'm trying to narrow it down. But I think I'm going to go with the LSU Tigers. It's a revenge game for the Fiesta Bowl. One that I have said, and I will go to my grave saying, we win that game if Mackenzie Milton is healthy. We only lose by 8, 40-32. And you hear legendary stories about LSU's home environment, especially a night game at LSU. The whole stadium shakes. And I'm not talking about bounce house shake where the thing is made of aluminum. I'm talking about like earthquake. It's registered as earthquake tremors in LSU. The whole town goes to the game. And that's another one. It's an SEC school, big-time name. That'll get you some big press if you win that game. And another one, if you want to make a road trip out of it, New Orleans is only an hour and a half away because, let's face it, you're not staying in Baton Rouge for 2-3 nights. You go in for the game. You can even, if it's an afternoon game, a 3 o'clock game, you can head back to New Orleans afterwards. And that could be a fun game. Another one where the tailgate seems like that's a party atmosphere. I could get behind an LSU home and home. Let's get a little revenge for that Fiesta Bowl.
It's a good one, too. Yeah, I think that the atmosphere there is one of the kickers on going there. Again, it's legendary night games. I think we have Andrea Adelson on the show at one point, and she told us that that was the craziest environment she had ever been a part of was an LSU game. And so I think the atmosphere would be interesting. I think it's 100,000 plus stadium, if I have that right, Mike. So imagine mixing the crazy UCF fans who, again, it's a good distance. It's drivable if you want to do it. So it's not a terrible commute situation. You bring a lot of UCF fans down there. You get the LSU fans. You get all day to party and mix it up. That thing could get rowdy in a hurry, and it would be nice to get a little bit of revenge for that Fiesta Bowl. So LSU would be a really interesting opportunity as well. That's another good choice. A lot of good options on the list, like you said. That's a good one too.
Yep. So that's my three: Notre Dame, Clemson, LSU. Some fun cities in there and some classic college football names. So far, you have Oregon
and Auburn.
Auburn.
Yeah.
And who's your third?
All right. Well, I did the same as you. A lot of options for this third spot. I had Miami on the list, but I ruled that out. They don't even really have a college stadium. They're playing an NFL-style stadium, and I thought to myself, is that really what we want to be a part of? We already did a home and home with them once. And the U is back. I'm sick of that. I didn't even consider the Gators just because I'm so annoyed with having to hear about them all the time. I thought about Florida State, obviously the Mackenzie Milton revenge game, but again, to me, the state of Florida stuff is interesting. At some point, those guys will have to play us. But yeah, a home and home with them. I don't know. I just wasn't interested in that. So then I started thinking through, okay, what are the great locations? What are some of the great rivalries? You think about Ohio State, but I think, Larry said something to the effect that that's the quietest big stadium you'll ever be in. So is that really an atmosphere? Plus it's freezing up there. So is that someplace I want to go? UCF's already been to the Big House. Michigan isn't, a super exciting sort of style of team to play. So I pretty much ruled out a lot of the Big Ten right there. I thought about Texas A&M. That seems like a really crazy atmosphere. They have the 12th man. The stadium's really high. They do all that yell stuff. Seems like an interesting atmosphere, but it's in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how you're getting to College Station, Texas, so I kind of quickly ruled that one off the list. And then I'm looking around and I'm thinking, where else would there be? Alabama seems like an easy one, people would say, but I'm just not interested in. I don't know. I mean, to me that's not an exciting one, Mike. So I had to do it. My third stop on Adam's home and home UCF scheduling tour goes to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So let's just get this Scott Frost thing over with. You actually brought this up in our text before this show. I hadn't thought about them actually. I think that would be an interesting one because I think they're a team that we could, the nail is kind of in that coffin. We could easily take the hammer and drive it even further. Seeing Scott Frost across the sideline and kind of looking at having him look at what he could have been and what could have been, and versus where he's at now. I think the Nebraska fans, while they were relatively polite, they were around all the time in 2017 about Frost is coming back, and a lot of UCF people had to put up with all that nonsense. I think they have a holier-than-thou thought about their football program because they're in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. That road trip out there would probably suck. I mean, I don't know what it's like getting to Lincoln. It's probably freezing that day. I think the revenge tie-in, I think the fact that this could be like a nail in a coffin, passing of the guard type situation, and just a little bit of revenge for, some of the stuff we had to go through as a fan base. And I say when Nebraska comes to Orlando, the entire crowd wears red and white checkered shirts. I think that'd only be fair, Mike. So my third opponent on the home and home tour for me is Nebraska.
I mean, I don't know about wearing red and white at home. That kind of threw me off there with that one. I know what you're going for with the whole Scott Frost thing. But, we do have a little history with them even before Frost.
Yep.
The game we were winning at halftime. I mean, actually, Frost was involved.
It's not.
I
was going to say it's not before Frost.
But Dante running over the guy going into the end zone. Another one that we let go in the second half. But, it's interesting. A lot of people now, I think that we are another coach removed from Frost. At least I'm over it. I think I was over it before most of the other people. Some people still hold that grudge. And it would be cool. I think right now, I don't think it's even close that we're a better football program than they are right now.
Yep.
I think we would, it's games we definitely should win, especially at the home game. You want to tell me we're going up there and playing? It depends. When are we playing them? We're playing in the middle of November and it's snowing. Then it kind of evens things out over there a little bit. But I think still we're the better team. We could beat them. It'd be interesting. That's for sure. I think still there's a lot of people still down here too that are always going to remember Frost for what he did in that season. And the further away we get from that season, I think more people may just appreciate that season for what it was. And one day Frost may come back down here, whether he's not coaching with Nebraska or any other school, wherever he lands, someday 10, 15 years down the road, he makes another trip into the bounce house. I think one day he can actually get a nice ovation from the fans because maybe a 20-year reunion of that team or whatever it is. I think somewhere in the future, UCF fans can make amends with that guy, and we can put everything behind us, because that was a magical year. And who knows if we ever get one like that again.
Especially when we go 2-0 against him in that home and home. Then he can absolutely come back and get that, that standing ovation because of what he did. Yeah, again, I think it just, to me, was an intriguing matchup. I don't know that it's a grudge game per se, but it's an intriguing matchup. I think all the history between the two programs that kind of intertwined in that 17 season, everything since then, the amount of sort of even UCF alums who are coaching on that staff now, Becton, Demetrius Brim, Travis Fisher, all that UCF tie-in that's there. I think it's just an intriguing matchup just based on all the familiarity with each other. So I guess I'd rather go and do something familiar and have a little bit of juice on the game, a little bit of skin in the game versus playing like a Texas A&M where there's no natural tie-in. So I'm going to go Nebraska, Mike, but a lot of good options out there. I think we'd be curious, obviously, if you honestly could pick your 3 schools that you'd want to play. Would you just go straight prestige? Would you go straight down the list and go Bama, Florida, Clemson? Would you want to try to mix it in and throw in some cool home and home sites that you want to go to? Would you try to fill out with some tradition, some revenge games? Let us know what your big 3, again, scheduling, obviously we're not looking at open dates and who's got availability, all that stuff. So you can put that stuff. So suspend reality for a second. Who would your big 3 be on a home and home? So let us know. Find us on Twitter at Sons of UCF, at UCF Mike on. We'll put this poll out there at some point on Twitter and let you guys decide. And whoever wins, I guess, gets first pick in next week's big 3 contest. So stakes are on the line. But coming up next, Mike, a throwback conversation. This one was, again, circa 2018 it had to be, right? Maybe 2019 at this point, with Rashard Causey. I guess this would have been 2019. This would have been after the Fiesta Bowl game, right? So Rashard Causey, who had a couple of really big plays in his UCF career, has spent some time bouncing around some NFL teams, but he was cool to catch up with, Mike. And my favorite part of the interview is the white horse reference towards the end. So listen up closely for that one. So Rashard Causey throwback interview coming up next. Don't you go anywhere.
The Suns have a new interview. Listen up.
All right, back here on the Sons of UCF. Happy to welcome in our next guest. This guy, 4-year player for UCF, defensive back. He played all over the back line there. He was a cornerback, nickel back as well, and it's none other than Rashard Causey. Rashard, how are you?
Hey, how y'all doing?
We are doing well, man. We appreciate you for joining us. So before we get into anything, we got to lay some groundwork for you here. So reading your bio, we saw that you went to St. Thomas. That could be a bit of a problem because Mike and I went to Cardinal Gibbons, and we were pretty big rivals, although it hasn't been much of a rivalry of late. But we're going to let that slide, though, because you wore black and gold so well. But we do have a bit of a rivalry here, if you will, just to start off the show.
Yeah, man. I miss those days at STA, going against Gibbons in all the sports. We used to have it's a good rivalry, though. I think so. It's a really good rivalry.
Hey, we're state champs now.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Congrats to y'all. Welcome to the club.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, so obviously, like we said, you went to St. Thomas, and you found your way up to Orlando at UCF. So, who was your primary recruiter when you were in high school, and what made you decide to come up to Orlando?
It was Coach Travis Fisher and Coach Danny Barrett. I mean, to be honest, I had no idea. I knew what UCF was about. Like, I know they beat Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. But I just had to come up and see the campus, and I was blown away. Like, my first maybe 30 seconds, I was like, yo, this place is crazy right now. Like, it just looks so modernized compared to all the other, like, big-time schools, which had a lot of history. Like, they look more, like, older. But UCF just looks so modernized with all the glass windows. And just everything, it was just a big eye-opener for me.
Well, so you got there, obviously, and so 2015 was your freshman season.
Right.
What was your welcome to college football moment? So everybody kind of talks about, going from high school to college, the game speeds up. Did you have one moment where you were on the practice field or on the field where you kind of looked around and was like, wow, this is different?
Yeah, of course. Which everybody knows O'Leary was a hard-nosed coach. And you can ask any player that played under O'Leary, like all workouts, like no joke. Like I feel like a lot of players at these big time schools would not survive a Coach O'Leary workout. Like a Friday morning workout, that was an eye opener for me. Like I was coming in the summer as a freshman, 18 years old, thinking I know everything. Then bam, like 10 sets of 10, a 225 on the squat rack. That's 100 reps of squatting. Like on the time schedule. Like it's no joke, man. So that was a big eye opener for me. And pretty much just adapting to the new culture from high school to college. It's more of a like you gotta take it a lot more serious than you would do in high school. So just those two experiences was a big eye opener for me.
So yeah, you mentioned O'Leary. So a lot of guys obviously have mentioned that he's a hard-minded coach, and Jeff Godfrey told a great story about how they had a little run-in on the sidelines. Did you ever have any run-ins with Coach O'Leary?
Not really, because I kind of like when he was talking. I was a freshman, so we always was in the back, quiet, like, like. So I remember one time we played against Temple. It was a Temple week, and like you really don't want to tell the coach like your body's hurting, like, or you feeling like you got an injury or something. You don't really want to tell him that. But me, I didn't know like that's what you're not supposed to do. So I told him, and he like sent me home. He was like, "You're not traveling," and I was like, "Dang." It was like, wow, did he really just send me back from the bus? And but that was the only thing I had from O'Leary. But other than that, like I really loved him. I appreciate everything he's done for us, and I'm glad that he was my first coach in college because he set the foundation for me of like hard work. Like that's all I know from him. Like I feel like ever since him I could do anything. Like nothing is hard to me because I feel like I've been through the hardest stuff ever. So.
Well, so when we
they don't call him White Horse for nothing.
Yeah.
So you know about that?
Yeah. So Justin Holman let it out of the bag. So even as a freshman, you knew what White Horse meant.
Oh, so y'all know about what White Horse is?
We discovered the White Horse. We're so happy.
Oh man, if you hear White Horse at practice, you better stop whatever you're doing and act like you're enjoying yourself.
Do you?
You hear, like for example, say all the DBs we just talking. Like taking a little water break, and Coach O'Leary like pulls up in the golf cart or something. Like White Horse. So like we all like spread out like ants. It's crazy.
Did anybody ever explain to you where that? Did anyone ever explain where that came from, or like who came up with that?
I have no idea. To be honest. Cause like when you're a freshman, like if an older guy in your group tells you something to do, you're not gonna question it. You just don't do it. Like you learn with O'Leary, you learn pretty fast. Like. There's no second thinking with O'Leary.
That name must have been around for at least 10 years, probably. I'm thinking it goes back to like 07, probably 06, 05.
I think so because when he came to some of our practices this season, like me and Titus Davis, we were like, "Yo, White Horse," and we looked, and me, Titus, and Kyle Gibson, we looked at the front entrance of the gate, and we was like, "Yo, is that White Horse?" And Kyle was like, "Man, I think that is." So we all just like ran to him and we just gave him a big hug. We was like, "Man, what's up?" I don't think he knows that we call him White Horse. It was it was like an insider between like everybody but him.
I wonder if he's gonna find out about it now.
Yeah,
we've been talking about it every week.
About this, I love you, man. I just want to throw that out there.
We've been talking about it for the last month now. It's great. So anyway. Getting back to the team. In 2015, you guys had a lot of young talent on the secondary, Shaquille Griffin was only a junior. Killens was a junior. But Kyle Gibson was a redshirt freshman. Derico Johnson, junior. Trey Neal, freshman. Neville Clark, freshman. I mean, you guys had a lot of talent. How competitive was that when you guys all showed up to camp? How competitive were all those guys?
It was very competitive. Coach Fish always instilled that in us from the day one. Like, you only could get better if you competing with the guys that's in your room, not just the guys you're going against, but the guys in your room. We had a productive chart that we would do, like compete with each other. Like, so each day, you like whoever has the most productive points, like like 1 point would be like a PBU, 2 points or 3 points was like an interception, a forced fumble was like 2 points, a tackle was a point. Like even we even did mistakes. If you had a missed opportunity, that's -1. Like we did everything, and I feel like that chart, like, that helped us out a lot because you might not know it, but like when you at practice, like that chart is on your mind. Like you be like, I gotta get some points. Like I gotta do something because like another player is gonna do something. Like something's gonna happen. So like the chart goes up and down, and you just see like it makes you like competitive within the group. Like you see like who's gonna win the chart at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing fantasy football, but you're actually controlling everything. That's
Exactly.
Cool. So did you think you were going to redshirt when you were a freshman? You always knew you were going to be in – because you only were there 4 years, right?
Yeah, but to be honest, I had no idea. It was just like I was just, a wide open freshman, just trying to like impress the older guys, impress my coaches, and like you guys recruited a really good player. Then throughout the season, like I think they burned my red shirt after the third game. Like my first game traveling was Furman. That was my first game. I traveled with the team. Then the following week went to Tulane, and that's when I actually got on the field. So I mean, at the time, you gotta think when you're a freshman, like I guess like some guys don't want a red shirt, or most guys want to play, obviously. But like if I could take it back, I would have took that red shirt.
Yeah, get the extra year. Right?
Just to have an extra year, just to like prove myself out here for the scouts and just to my teammates and just to myself. So, but hey,
talk to Kalubi Ali. He knows how to get like 10 years.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Cool's been off for a decade, man. Shout out to Cool. That's my boy.
So, did you ever think in 2015, man, that season? I don't want to talk about it too much, but you went the whole year. We didn't win.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
You gotta talk about
but did you ever think you just like did it ever cross your mind maybe you made the wrong choice coming to UCF? Like what did I get myself into? Do you ever think about going somewhere else?
A little bit. I did. I'm not gonna lie about that. I did, but I feel like I'm a man of faith. I talked to God about it. I prayed about it. Then I feel like, hey, God answered my prayers with Scott Frost. Like Coach Frost came through, and like the first day he walked in the building, you felt the vibe. Like, all right, it's about to change. Like everything changed the first day he stepped on campus. Like he did a lot for us in those 2 years he was here, 2.5 years. Like he did a lot, man. Like shout out to Coach Frost for that. Like I can't even explain like what we went through just to like build the brotherhood we have now. Like just from like instead of like spending time with your position guys, he would make us spend time with the offensive players, spend time with the D linemen, like just spend time with other players that's on your team. And throughout the months and throughout the hard work we put through, we just gelled together and just we stopped playing for each other and just like it just clicked, man. I don't know how to explain it. It just clicked.
Yeah. Well, so one thing he did that as a fan, I was a huge fan of, and so I was curious how you felt about it. I know it seems like a small thing, but to me, he changed the entire face of that team, including a whole new set of uniforms, right? So all of a sudden we had cool uniforms for the first time. We had multiple helmets. We were wearing black. We had different stuff. I know the bumpers came, I think, the next year. But as players, like how much did that uniform thing really play into like how y'all felt or kind of how you think the program turned around?
I mean, it plays a big factor. I know as a DB, like if I look good, I'm gonna play good. Like that's how we looked at it. And we just felt like, okay, we about to look really good. Now we gotta play just as good as we look. So and it brought a lot of attention there because like we got a lot of attention from like everybody was like, oh, it's no more the old UCF, it's the new UCF now, the fast UCF, like. And we all just brought into it, like from the uniforms, just with everything. We just brought into the program, to his new style of the program.
One thing he introduced, obviously, in 2016, kind of a building block year. You guys finished 6 and 7 overall, but 2016 was important because it saw the sort of the introduction, if you will, of Mackenzie Milton into the team. So first impressions of Mackenzie when you see him strolling into the facility, he's like all of 5'10", a floppy hat, probably. Wyatt told us he had earrings on. When someone told you that was your new quarterback, what were your first thoughts?
I don't remember that much about when he first got here. I just kept remembering, like, everybody was like, yo, this guy is like, he's the future. Like, he's really good. He's really good. And, as a DB, I'm like, all right, like, let me see if he's really good. Then we got into camp, and we was like, yo, who is this guy? Like, he was an off-schedule quarterback. So, like, you would be covering a receiver for, like, 5 seconds, which is a very long time. So we was like, yo, this guy's pretty good. Then when he came in, he did his thing. Like, he was doing those splash plays. Like, he was scrambling around, throwing the deep balls, like, making those wild plays. And we was like, okay, we can work with it. And that was it. Like, hey, he wrote it for himself. Then the following year, you see what he did.
Yeah. Well, Coach Heupel said this past year that Causey was probably one of the most competitive players he'd ever been around.
Yeah.
In practice, did he ever piss you guys off? Did he ever talk trash to you guys? Did he ever get under your skin?
Come on now, it's football. That's what we do. We all keep it. we all keep it love. Like, we compete, man. We compete hard because I feel like we gonna make each other better for Saturday. Like if I don't outwork them and they don't outwork me, like, how we gonna outwork our opponent? So that was just our mindset. Like, let's just make each other better for Saturday.
All right, so the next year, junior season, 2017. The year starts all crazy. I mean, we're destroying teams, but then we get delayed because of the hurricanes. We played 2 weeks in a row without a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That must have been. How hard is that to adjust to as a team? Like, you're just trying to get the season started, and all of a sudden you stop again. And now you gotta get things cranking back up again.
Yeah, I feel like it was a gift and a curse because our games got canceled, but we had more time spending time with each other as a team. Like we were just bonding with that time. Like, we were all in our dorms. Like, even the off campus guys had to come on campus because we all had to be together. And just doing that just, like, made everything so much better than, like, we played coming off the not bye week, but the hurricane week. We played Memphis, right?
Yes, Memphis.
We played Memphis, and we watched Memphis play, and they were supposed to be like this big time, like, they were supposed to be the big dogs, and we kind of looked into it was like, nah, man, like, nah, we not taking that. And you come to our place? Nah, we not going out like that. So that following week, we didn't let that week off that we had, we didn't let that stop us. We actually turned it into a good thing. So we kind of got ahead of the game just by watching extra film. We had a week of film just to watch on them.
Yeah, that was the one comfortable Memphis game.
Yeah, you saw
in the last 2 years.
You guys saw the results.
I asked this to a couple other guys already. I want to see what you say. When did you think during that season, you guys could go undefeated? Is there a point, a game?
Oh yeah, we already had it after Navy. If we beat Navy, we was going all the way.
All three of you guys have had different answers, by the way. I think it's cool though.
We had Navy, and we kind of knew that USF was going to be like a shaky game because Quentin Flowers, man, that's probably like, that dude was nasty. Like, he was nasty. Like, he was really, really good. Like, he was really good. But we got the job done. My boy Mike Hughes, he saved the day and did his thing.
Yeah, so those final two games before the bowl game that year were just absolutely insane. You know, as a fan, like I'm pacing my living room, man. I'm throwing things, I'm trying to drink stuff, like I'm all kinds of crazy. What's that like to go through as a player? Was it enjoyable at the moment? Like, do you have a chance to enjoy those games when they're going on and they're back and forth, and you're waiting on Mike Hughes or Trey Neal makes a big pick? Like, can you enjoy that kind of stuff in the moment when it's happening?
Of course, because I believe in my teammates. I believe in the work we put in. Like, it's college football. It's what we live for, man. Big moments like that. Man, it's crazy that he talking about that. I just remember that because me and Mike Hughes were really close. And before that kid returned, he was like, I'm about to score. I swear to God, he said it right before he went out. He was like, I'm about to score. And like,
they didn't kick it to him all game. They were smart.
Yes, exactly. And they did the last time.
I think they kicked it to him the first time and the last time.
Yeah, I know that kicker. I know he was hating himself that night, but I just remember he called it. He told me, he was like, Causey, I'm about to run this back. I walked away, and then he did it. I gave him the biggest hug ever, man. That's my boy, man.
I tell you, when I see that video still, right when he makes that cutback, like I even now I still get chills thinking about when he makes that cutback and he's in the open field, particularly when they do the one with that Titanic music in the background. Like that one gets me every time for sure.
Yeah.
Which of those games is most memorable to you? So if you think back on both those games, both crazy games, do you have a favorite, or which game sticks out more in your mind as more times pass for you?
That's kind of tough, man. To be honest, I'm gonna go with USF.
Just because that was the game.
That was
the build up to that game was incredible.
That was the game right there. Like the Memphis game, we knew it was gonna be a shootout. We knew it just coming into it. Cause I was like, "There's no way they have this high firepower offense, and we just slaughtered them the first time." Like I know that's like I left a nasty taste in their mouth. So we knew coming in the Memphis week that it was gonna be a shootout. But that USF game, like I've never been a part of something like that in my life.
Well, so speaking of Memphis, obviously, you talked about this earlier. How much love and respect you guys have for Coach Frost. So going into that game, obviously there was a ton of rumors swirling at that point, right? Everyone was kind of talking about Coach Frost's future and his staff and all that stuff. How much were you aware of that? Like, how much did you guys hear about that? And what did you guys do as leaders to kind of block that out and keep focused on the game?
I mean, we did hear about it, but like when you prepare for a good team and a good opponent, you can't let that outside distraction seep in through your whole team. Like you just can't. Like whatever happens in the locker room, we got to keep that tight with us. So all those rumors and stuff, we just like we pretty much just ignored. We ignored it. And when it came out after the game, well, I guess it came out during the game, we had a meeting about it, and obviously it was a bittersweet thing because we was happy for him, but then again we were like, dang, like we just lost like the best coach ever. So it was pretty good. Then after we all had got out our feelings about it, we was like, all right, we got to win this last game together. Like for us, like for Coach Frost and for us, like we just had to do it.
Did you think he was staying, or did you know you think he was going? Like going into that Memphis game, did you have an idea? What did you think?
At first I thought I was like, "There's no way he's going." Then the closer it got to that time to make that decision, I was like, "Yeah, he's definitely going."
Yeah. I mean, we all saw it coming.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, hey, he had to make a business decision. He didn't want to leave, though. I could tell you that. He did not. I mean, we
were undefeated.
He didn't want to leave us.
Yeah. How sweet was it to actually, he came back and we won the Peach Bowl. It's a storybook ending. How sweet was it to hold that trophy and just be a part of that team?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was really awesome. Just because. Like all the hard work we've been through, especially me, like coming in as a freshman and some of the other older guys, we went 0-12. Like I don't wish that on nobody. Like that's terrible, man. And just like from all the hard work that we went through, and just from like buying in, and just like all the late nights of film, watch extra film, all the hard work we put in, it like finally paid off because we won. We beat everybody. That was our mindset. Just like we didn't care who we played. We just wanted to beat everybody.
Yeah. So while you guys were celebrating, Danny White looks into the camera and says, "National champs." Right. So when you guys hear about that, what was the reaction of the team?
We national champs.
That's right.
It ain't no second thinking. Like if Danny White said it, then that's it.
That's it. Yeah. Hey, like you said, nobody beat us.
Yeah. Like
so that's it. We're national champs.
Yeah, ain't nobody on our team was like, oh no, we're not national champs. Nah, like we are. We're the only undefeated team this season.
Well, yeah,
we beat the big dog Auburn. Like they're supposed to be the big dogs, and we beat them. So
yeah, I think
it worked out perfect.
Whoever was upset about that, hey, you just gotta just wait till next season.
Well, I think the best thing about that was, not a lot of ADs would have the courage to come out and do that.
No,
did you guys know he was going to say that in advance, or when you started hearing about it?
We had no idea. We didn't know until like everyone else started knowing about it. Like that was it. Like he said that at the Peach Bowl, but like I don't remember hearing that. Like I was just like running around celebrating. Like we were so happy. Like we was turned up. Like,
how much time do you guys get to spend with Danny? I mean, he seems like such a smooth cat. Like how much time do you guys get to spend around him?
Okay, we practice 5 days out of the week. He's probably out there three out of 5. Like he's out there on Tuesday. He's out there on Wednesday. And he's out there on Fridays.
I think he cloned himself. He's everywhere. This guy.
Nah, he's out there. Like he's really out there on the sideline. He's talked to us. He said what's up to everybody. He knows everybody by their first names. I respect Mr. Danny White to the fullest because he really shows that he cares about the athletics at UCF. Yeah,
and it shows in the programs, man. All the programs have improved since he's been here.
As soon as he got here.
Yep.
So shout out to Danny White.
Yeah. Well, one of my biggest memories from that season, and really the Peach Bowl too, was just Shaquem going nuts. I just remember screaming, "Shaquem!" What was it like being around that guy every day? And we see the stories now all the time, but I want to hear from you.
Shaquem, that's my big bro. Like we tight. Like me and him are really close. And you see how like everybody's like, yo, this guy's crazy. Like he's the best player ever. Like we've been seeing that. So like everybody on the team was like, we're norm to this. Like we see it in practice all the time. Just he's one of those guys that got an opportunity and took, like, I don't even know the word to say. What's pass full advantage? Like
yeah.
Like if you can find a word for that, that's what he did. And he went above and beyond with his opportunity to get on the field, because you got to think those years before he didn't play. Like he was still the same Shaquem. I'm telling you, he was still the same guy. He just didn't play. Then when Coach Frost came in, it was like, what are we gonna do with this guy? And they put him at outside linebacker, and nobody could block him. Like nobody.
Yeah, defensive player of the year.
Exactly.
So obviously,
people don't let that one hand fool you. That one hand does a lot. Like he can catch, he can do everything.
Well, after that season, obviously, you mentioned Coach Frost left. So here you go, another coaching change, right? You're third coach now. So it's well documented. But look, we know some of the players were disappointed by Coach Frost and the staff leaving, and obviously Coach Heupel coming in, probably one of the toughest jobs. I think Wyatt said it's like the toughest job in America to come into that team. How close you guys were. So being that you were a senior leader on the team, what did you and the rest of your senior co-captains and the rest of you guys have to do to sort of welcome Coach Heupel in, but also keep the whole team together as you kind of embarked on 2018 and try to defend your national championship?
We had to come together and see see what Coach Heupel's his stand. Like, he didn't want to come in. He knew what Coach Frost instilled in us, and he didn't want to change that. He just wanted to add on. That was pretty much it. So we had the whole spring to buy in to his style with our style. So we just had to find ways to make everything gel, which we did. It wasn't a hard transition at all. Just because the brotherhood we built with Coach Frost, you can't break that. You honestly can't. So it wasn't hard at all. We just had to buy into a new coaching staff. That's it.
Well, yeah,
that would be the hard part.
Being a Miami guy, obviously, I'm sure you were well familiar with Coach Randy Shannon and Coach Corey Bell. How excited were you to play for those guys?
Of course, man. When they introduced Coach Shannon, the first thing, me and him knew each other, and he was like, "Man, I'm so happy to see you." Because he haven't seen me since high school. It's been 2 years out of that, so it was a pretty good experience, man. I love Coach Shannon, Coach Bell. They pushed me to limits that I didn't know I could do, and I thank them for that, because they made me into a better player.
Yeah, with their scheme, they switched you to the nickel back. What was that transition like for you?
I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was pretty tough, just because from corner to nickel, it's the same thing, but it's a lot more space, and I would have to go against guys like Snelson and Otis. So those are top tier guys. So I pretty much had to speed up my learning process, just because I knew I was coming into my senior season, and I had to make a name for myself coming in. So I would do extra film studies just to learn the playbook. And once I learned that, that was it.
Memphis. What is it about Memphis that caused us so many problems, especially in the first half of those games?
Adjustments. And pretty much the stuff that we watched on film, they didn't do. So
they ran a lot of tricky formations in that first game.
Yeah, Memphis is a really good football team, and they had some really hungry players, just like we did. So it was always a slugfest against us, but we always come on top. Cause it's crazy. Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Number one, me and him, we became really good friends after the conference championship game, because we out here training together at Tom Shaw in Orlando. We became really, really good friends. That's my boy now, and we talk about it all the time. What plays, and we'll ask each other questions when we ran this formation, what did y'all do? Stuff like that, just questions like that, and we'll just learn about each other. And it's crazy. You would think you don't know that player, but I feel like I know him for a really long time. Just from the times we played each other. We played.
You guys went up against each other a lot of times.
Yeah,
times in the last 2 years.
Well, I'm guys saying they're 0-4 against us.
Yeah, that's right. So, you talk to that guy all day if you want.
Yeah, of course. He doesn't say anything about UCF at all. But one thing he does say, he said if UCF would have offered him, he would have been here. That's what he tells us. So he loves it out here.
Okay, so in the first game on the road, you came up with the game-ending tackle, right? And then in the championship game, you had a big sack late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Which play is your favorite?
Oh, obviously the sack. DBs, we don't get sacks. But the first play in the first game, I didn't know the game was over. Have you watched the game? I got up and ran to the other side of the field because I thought they had more time on the clock. If you look,
they wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, if you look at the game, watch the defense. We all getting up, ready to go line up again. Then I'm running back to the other side of the field, and I see all my teammates running towards me, running towards the field. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Then I look at the clock. it said 0. So I was like, I just got down and laid down on my back, and I was like, oh my God, we did not just do that.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to run the clock out. You looked like you just clipped his foot, and he fell in bounds, and the clock ended. So you weren't planning to do that. Like that was just instinct on your part.
No, I saw the ball coming, and he had outside leverage on me, and I was like, yo, I gotta tackle him in bounds. Like you got to, because it's a crunch situation right now.
Yeah, he gets out of bounds. I mean, they kick
Yeah,
the field goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I did what I had to do. I'd rather take that than anything. We ran out there with a dub.
Yeah, that's that game was nuts. Both those games were nuts. But how disappointed were you guys 2 years in a row, undefeated, and they still didn't put us in the playoff? Did you think we were going to get in?
I thought we were going to get in this year.
The guys on the team everybody thought we were getting in?
It was like 50-50. But, like, come on. We won 25 games straight. Like,
we should have been in, don't you?
Yeah. I trust me, I know. I don't know if they recorded me, but after we won the conference championship, like, the ceremony, the trophy ceremony, I was screaming to all the TV cameras. I was like, put us in the playoffs. Like, stop playing with us. I kept screaming it. Like, so I know one of these TV crews got that on TV. But hey, it is what it is.
What was the feeling from the rest of your teammates? Were you guys pissed off? Were you guys just kind of like, in shock, or I guess what was the reaction when you guys were in that? Did you guys find out live when everybody else did? So did you guys know in advance, or were you watching ESPN like everybody else and found out you weren't in?
We were watching it. We had a watch party.
Yeah.
In the team meeting room about it. But hey, I mean, we was like, wow, okay. Then that's when the bowl selection came out too. So then we found out that we were playing LSU. So we was more hyped about that than anything. Cause just like, UCF versus LSU, like that looks great on paper. Especially we're undefeated, and they're supposed to be like one of the top tier teams in the SEC. So, hey.
Yeah, well, I know you and your teammates wanted that one too. So,
of course, we wanted them bad.
So,
so bad.
Obviously didn't go our way that day. What what do you think went wrong? What do you think we fell short, or what do you think we could have done differently?
We ran out of time. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't take nothing back from that game. We just ran out of time. Like, we played hard, offense, defense, special team. We played hard. We ran out of time. That's it.
Yeah, a couple plays here and there. That whole game is different.
Yeah, not even. Just like it's football. It's a game. Like,
yep,
they gonna win some. We gonna win some. It just
makes the streak even crazy.
I don't give them props. I don't, because that's just. I'm just like that. Like, if you beat me, I'm not gonna give you props until I win. So, hey, I feel like if LSU wants to play us again, it's gonna be a different story. Because I got boys on that team, and they said they was like, "Yo, we did not think it was gonna be like that."
Yeah.
And they even said if we would have had Kenzie, they would have lost. Like. They like, I have proof that they say that. So I was like, that makes me feel better. That makes me feel better. So
yeah, I don't think there's any way they beat us with McKenzie.
No, not at all. But it is what it is. They won. We just got to come back stronger next year. That's all.
Well, yeah, not to go on a sad note here, but so what's that like? You get in the locker room and you take off the UCF jersey for the last time. What kind of emotions are kind of running through your head at that point when you realize that's the last time you're going to wear black and gold?
It was pretty sweet, like bittersweet, just because like after the game when the clock hit 0, I just sat there on the field. And I just sat there like me, Titus Davis, and Snelson. We was like one of the last guys to leave the locker room. And we were just sitting there like, I couldn't believe it. Like we don't know what losing is. Like, we won 25 games straight. So to lose that game, we was like, it didn't feel real. You feel me? Like, it just didn't feel real. So I'm just sitting in the locker room. I'm like, wow, like, it's really over. Like, my college career is done. And it was weird. Like, I'm still puzzled about that right now to this day. Just like, wow, man. Like, but hey, I'm pleased with what I did and what we did for UCF this past season. So shout out to Night Nation. They coming back strong.
Yeah,
they working hard now. Like right now as we speak. Like,
yeah. So you mentioned earlier you've been in Orlando training for probably for UCF's Pro Day. So what can the scouts expect on Pro Day when they get out there and they see you on the field? What kind of show can they expect from you on UCF's Pro Day? What do you hope to show off?
Rashard Causey, number 21. I'm gonna show him that, and just pretty much what I've been dreaming about since I was little. Like, this is my day. Like, some people, like, they get like antsy and like think so hard about like a pro day or a combine, but like I've been doing this my whole life. Like, we've been playing in front of like 45,000 people. Like, come on. You gonna get shook up because it's 100 people in your indoor facility watching you work out? Nah, like, that's just been my mindset about it. Just like just go out there and have fun. Like, it's supposed to be fun. Like, football is fun to me, so like that's just my mindset of going into pro day. Like, just run fast, look smooth in my drills, and just have fun.
Well, you mentioned having fun, so we like to end every interview around here. We do 10 rapid fire questions, right? So these could be questions about football, about UCF, about anything, about food, about music, about movies. So we got 10 random ones for you. So are you ready to face the 10 rapid fire questions?
Oh yeah, I got you.
All right, here we go. So here's number 1, right? Give me the name of a guy on the team this year that you think is poised to have a breakout season.
Ooh. I can only give you one.
You can give me as many as you got. I mean, I got pen and paper. I'm ready to go.
All right. Richie Grant.
Okay.
Neville Clark. Brandon Moore. The two new kids that came in. Tay McGowan. Jordan Hayes. Brandon Wimbush. Trey Nixon. Gabe Davis. AK Otis, man, the whole team about to have a big out. Man, I'm not singling nobody out.
Okay.
Because I know how hard they work.
All right,
so,
next.
And they got a nasty taste in their mouth from the last game, so they're coming back strong.
All right, here's the next one. Will the LA Lakers make the playoffs this year?
I don't know. Probably not.
I mean, they're struggling. They're struggling right now.
Yeah, LeBron's my favorite player, but hey, he might have to sit this one out.
That'd be crazy if LeBron didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be so weird.
He'll probably like the break.
The NBA is gonna find a way to get him in there. Like, they gonna find a way. Come on, like, how you the best player in the world is not in the playoffs right now? They gonna find a way.
Yeah, I get it. All right, the University of Miami, the turnover chain, is that played out by now?
I don't know. Tell them to schedule UCF.
Yeah, I wish they would. I wish one of these schools would.
I know.
So if UCF had come out with like a turnover crown, or I don't even know what the heck, would you have put it on?
No.
Okay.
I'm not putting it on. Coach, leave that in the locker room. We supposed to get turnovers. I don't need a chain. This is what I'm supposed to do.
I like it. All right. Are kickers actually real football players?
Of course. Do you know who Matty Ice is? Do y'all not know who Matty Ice is? Like, yo, real athlete right there.
Everybody says that about him.
Yes, real athlete. And he's probably the smartest person I know. Like, this dude is, he's gifted. Like, for real.
It's funny. Joey Connors actually told us that last week. We asked him who the smartest teammate was, and he said Matt Wright.
Yes, this man's about to be a rocket scientist.
All right, next one for you. True or false? Coach Frost wore his shirt one size too small to show off his biceps.
Oh no, that's false. That dude was jacked up.
Okay.
Yo, that dude was ripped, man. Like, he looks like he's still playing football right now. Like he's huge, man. And he can run too. I know you guys saw one. He was wearing the helmet for when we played Navy that week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this dude was running us over. Like, he was like competing against us, like pointing at us, like, yo, I'm about to run you over right now. I'm like,
Yeah, but you guys couldn't actually hit him.
No, you couldn't go hit him. But like, for a coach to do that, like they give you like a different type of respect for him to get up and put on helmets and cleats and run the plays at our defense.
All right. So what was the craziest road game atmosphere that you guys were a part of? So the crowd that was either yelling at you or it was a hostile environment. What was the craziest road crowd you faced?
Road crowd? Ooh, oh, that's kind of tough. Okay, I would say Memphis.
Yeah. Okay.
The first time we played this year. Oh, does it mean this year or like period?
Period. Yeah, you can go period.
I'm gonna go Memphis. But the craziest game ever was Cincinnati. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, I tell so many people this today. Like, the first two plays, Richie Grant was probably two or 3 yards away from me, and I couldn't hear a word he was saying. Like, it got to a point when they jumped off sides, I just took my mouthpiece out and I just started yelling myself. I was like, to see if I could hear myself, and I couldn't. I was like, yo, this is crazy right now. Shout out to Night Nation for that night. That was, oh my God.
That was awesome.
That night was crazy.
That whole day was game day, and I mean, the fan base was just ready to explode that day.
I feel you. You guys showed up deep that game. Like, it was all nothing but black in the stands. All black.
Yep. All right, so you're from Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yes, Broward County to be exact.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually sitting in Fort Lauderdale right now.
Oh, I know you sitting in that nice sun, nice little ocean breeze.
Yeah, man, 954. I've been 954 my whole life, basically, since I moved from when I was a kid. So, but I can never figure it out. What the heck is a flying L? Do you know?
That's the Fort Lauderdale High School. That's their mascot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what the hell is it?
I don't know. I'm a Raider, so I don't know what that is. I have no idea.
You guys didn't play them that much. I think they were bigger rivals with us, I think, right?
No, I didn't. I never played Fort Lauderdale before.
Yeah, they were close.
I don't even know where that school's at. What city that school's in?
It's in Fort Lauderdale.
I'm saying, actual
Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, it's off of like Sunrise Boulevard and like right around there. I think maybe around Dixie.
Okay.
So almost downtown.
That's north of us then.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What's the last movie you watched that made you cry?
Movie? I could give you a show that made me tear up a little bit. You know the show Power?
Power? No, I haven't heard.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yeah, Power. The season finale when they shot Angela. Like, I got really emotionally attached to that show, and when they shot Angela, I closed my laptop. I walked out the room, and I was like, I just started screaming. I was like, no, and I was mad for like about maybe 15 minutes. I was mad. And I was like, yo, this world is cruel. Then I was like, man, it's just a show.
All right, so do you still wake up in the middle of the night and have nightmares about Darrell Henderson? Because I know I still do. So do you still wake up and have nightmares about that guy?
You talking about D. Henderson?
Yeah.
No, I don't have nightmares.
Okay.
I do.
They have nightmares about us. They got 4 losses, man, and it was up by a lot.
Yeah.
And 2 of those games. So I don't have. I mean, he's one of the best players I've ever seen. Like, he's a really, really good player. He's gonna be a really good player at the next level too. So shout out to him. So I know he works hard. TP tell me a lot about him. And we follow each other on Instagram, and I see his videos. So, he's a really good player. He torched us that first half.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
He was torching us. Like, he was, like, one cut and out. Like, this dude was gone. But we adjust, and we found a way to stop him.
All right, so last one for you here. So recently there was a poll that ranked the best fast food French fries, and somehow Five Guys was named the #1 fast food French fry. So do you agree with that, A? And if not, what is the best French fry?
Ew. Nah, I'm not going with that one. The best fries to me, I don't really eat fast food, but if I do, like, I kind of like Chick-fil-A fries. I like yeah, Chick-fil-A fries are really good to me.
Yeah, you get the waffle fries, you dip them in the sauce. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the waffle fries are pretty good. Cause, like, they actually, like, they get you full. They're not like those McDonald's fries with all the salt on your fingertips and all that. Like, nah, I'm good. But I'm gonna go with Chick-fil-A.
It's a good choice. I like that choice. Smart choice. Well, listen, man, we appreciate you joining us. It was a lot of fun to talk about your memories at UCF, and look, we want to thank you. You were a 4-year player for us. You represent the university well. You fought hard on the field for us. You made big plays. So it was an honor to watch you for 4 years wear the black and gold. And I know I can speak for Night Nation when I tell you that we're all rooting for you to see what's next, man. I know Pro Day's coming up, but you definitely have a bunch of fans always in Orlando. So we appreciate you for what you did for the program and for taking time to join us here tonight.
Thank you guys, man. I wouldn't trade Night Nation for anything. Like, these last 4 years have been the best 4 years of my life. Like, through the ups and downs, through everything. I wouldn't trade it for anything because it made me who I am today. So I appreciate Night Nation for sticking with us through the ups and downs. So shout out to Night Nation. Shout out to you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us, man. And just remember who the reigning state champs are in football down here now.
Oh, come on now. You know I'm UCF till I die.
No. I'm talking about Cardinal Gibbs state champs.
Oh, you talking about
you guys didn't win this year,
oh
finally.
Oh, my God. They win one state championship. Now they're like, come on. Go to George Smith's office and go look at those trophies, and you tell me who's a state champ. They're gonna bounce back though. Coach Harris gonna bounce them back pretty strong, so I'm not worried about that.
All right,
well, I'm sure you guys are the top team in the nation almost every year. So
yeah.
Yes,
we'll keep an eye on that too. But man, we wish you best of luck, man, and definitely don't be a stranger around Orlando. Make sure you get back up to the bounce house for some games next year. Okay?
Of course.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each week for unique yet common sense opinions on sports on the Jeff Allen Sports Talk Podcast. We will break down the sports world minus the hot takes with prominent guests and my stable of sports guys. It's sports conversation the way it should be. Search Jeff Allen Sports Talk wherever you get your podcasts or go to JeffAllenSportsTalk.com.
This is UCF Athletic Director Terry Mahajer, and in my spare time, when I'm not on TikTok, I'm listening to Adam and Mike on the Sons of UCF. Go Knights and charge on!
All right, we are back. How of the week time, Mike? But quickly, I know it's been a couple of years since you've heard this Rashard Causey sounder or sound bite, sound interview, whatever you want to call that thing. He was a really cool conversation, Mike. I think a lot of people enjoy hearing from Rashard.
Oh, you know about that. That was my favorite part.
It is.
You know about the white horse. Oh, yeah. And he really got into it. So, yeah, he was a good guy, man. And like I said earlier in the show, if you're not following him on Twitter, go ahead and do that. Because is it just for some reason, maybe it's just him. I don't know. I see everything that he likes. I don't think I see that with everybody else on Twitter. I don't know. Maybe it's my settings or whatever it is. But he likes some interesting things on Twitter.
He does.
And I like watching it.
Yeah. That quote that he said, you know about that, that's when I knew we were onto something with this white horse thing. Because it was just a few episodes prior that Justin Holman broke the news to us. And we hadn't really done a whole lot with that information. I think the guests we had in between there, we brought it up and they were like, oh yeah, kind of. But that's when we knew like we were onto something. When he said, oh, you know about that. That was kind of the tipping point for us to be like, okay, there's more here. And really, if you think about it, it was, 3-4 episodes later when we actually had O'Leary on the show. So it wasn't too long after, at least the first time, it wasn't too long after that we got the sort of the closure on that too. So hopefully you enjoyed that Causey interview. Look, I know it was it seems like a really small play, but his shoestring tackle at Memphis to preserve that 31-30 victory in the 18th season. Like, I know it seems like an inconsequential play. He keeps the guy in bounds, and if he lets that guy get out of bounds, that's a completely different game. One of those, small, maybe seemed insignificant at the time kind of plays, but that was a huge play. I know it feels weird that a shoestring tackle is kind of one of the things that you remember the most about somebody, but that's certainly the top for me in Rashard Causey.
Yeah, if the guy gets out of bounds and they kick the field goal, I mean, we've seen this year kicking game-winning field goals in Memphis is not automatic. I don't remember their kicker being a lock to hit that either. But still, you never know. Change history. If they go down and kick that field goal, we lose that game. But that just shows the luck that we were on. Not only do you have to be good, you got to be a little bit lucky to win 25 games in a row. That may have been one of those days where we were just a little luckier than Memphis and got the breaks that we needed. And that was the last break, and that was the one that won the game for us. So that was cool. And he went to St. Thomas. We went to Cardinal Gibbons. Cardinal Gibbons now has won 2 state championships. Remember that when we talked to him about it, we had just won the first one. We just won another one this past year. And when we did that, we beat St. Thomas along the way earlier in the year. And I messaged him on Twitter after that one. He heard from me. So keep in touch a little bit on that rivalry. So, cool guy, cool dude. I like hanging out with him.
All right, well, people who aren't cool are the cow of the week, Mike, and you've got something unique, I guess. I don't know what it is yet either. You haven't broken it to me, but I'll let you lead off, buddy. Cow of the week for you is what?
All right. We like to let you guys in on our personal lives here and there, and I feel like we're pretty open with a lot of things that we do.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So, we're getting older here now. I'm 40 years old.
Okay.
And sometimes you make decisions in your life, and I had a big one. I had a procedure done this past week, and it's something I know you've done a while ago. Now I've got 2 kids of my own, beautiful girls. I love them very much. But it's time now to say I don't think I can afford a third one if that was ever to happen.
Sure.
So I took matters into my own hands this week.
Literally?
And I've talked about it. Well, kind of. I've been talking about it for years. I was always scared to actually follow through with it. But I went ahead and I got the snip.
The snip.
Yeah. I had a vasectomy done this past week. In my head, I was nervous for many reasons. I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
I've heard horror stories. I didn't know if there was going to be like a team of people just sitting there watching me, observing me. It actually went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. And pain was not bad. The cow, I guess, if you want to call it a cow, I'm bringing it up, is the guy that did it. One, he's a Gator, and he's got a Gator diploma on the wall. I knew this about him the whole time, and I didn't want to say anything to him about it, how much I hate the Gators leading up to it.
That's not a smart move. No, that's not a smart move.
No.
You're in a really tough, compromised position there. Not a good move, yeah.
If anything, I thought about borrowing my cousin's Gator shirt or something going into the procedure. I don't know, but I wouldn't go that far. But while I'm doing it, while he's doing it, I'm laying there. The guy is small talking me and stuff, and he's talking about the week before he did the procedure on this guy that used to play football for the Giants, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want this guy talking to me during this thing. I want him laser focused. I actually went in there and I was like, do you guys mind if I wear my AirPods? I just, I don't want to hear anything. He's like, as long as you can hear what I'm saying, that's fine. I'm like, okay. I put on some nature sounds. I just kind of want to relax. I don't want to even see what's going on down there. But here he is. Oh, what do you do for a living? This and that. And is that cow worthy?
Yeah.
This guy, should he be talking to me about this? And shouldn't he just be focused in on what he's doing? He's got my life in his hands, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cutting me in places where only a few people have been. So. Well, yeah.
We'll talk about that later. That's cow worthy. That's cow worthy.
Right? It's like you don't talk to a guy while you're standing at the urinal. You don't make small talk there.
No.
You definitely don't make small talk while you're operating on a guy's nuts.
No,
I think.
No, that should be a rule. I actually have a rule. I had a guy I used to work with all the time. He'd see me at the urinal and he'd walk in, and he had to walk past me or whatever, and he'd always hit me on the back while I was at the urinal. And I just a strict no touching me while I'm touching me. You know what I mean? Like that's just not how that's going to go down. And I think this is in that same vein where that's just not a conversation you want to have. Talk before, talk after, talk during is not going to work. Did you use a bag of peas afterwards? What was the post op like for you?
No, that wasn't bad at all.
Okay.
I mean, actually, I was on the Valium. He hooks up the Valium to you.
Yeah.
So I was actually feeling good for a few hours afterwards. It was done in the afternoon, like around 3 o'clock. I was out of there. I went home and I watched some of the Yankee game. I put a bag of ice on there for a couple innings, and that was pretty good. Everything since has been fine.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to get into detail?
I don't.
No.
No.
But anyway, the guy that pats you on the back at the urinal,
Yeah.
I think that guy is trying to send you a signal, like meet me inside the stall or something. That is definitely.
Here's the tricky thing.
zone.
He was like one of the upper levels of management at the company I was at that time. So he was like a big boss guy. Like he wasn't just like it was and he was a nice guy. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I when I was at the urinal and I saw this, and it seems like, so when you work in an office setting, sometimes you have meetings, or typically 10 to 11, 9 to 10, 11 to 12, whatever, 2 to 3. So right around like that, if it's 2 to 3, right around that like 2:56 mark, you'd see a lot of people heading to the restroom because they got to either get to that 3 o'clock meeting or they're just leaving their 2 o'clock meeting. So it seemed like I would always run into this guy, and pat on the back every time.
Did you ever just cross your mind, you need to go to the furthest urinal all the way by the wall? This way he has no excuse to pass you? Was that an option?
I guess I didn't. I never really. I tried to strategically get myself. It was a 3. It was a 1, 2, 3. So there was 3 urinals on that wall. So it was almost like I'd be either way. I would be in a tough spot unless somebody else was there. It was like a game of tic-tac-toe. Like I needed to make sure, that I had my my line in order because I feel like I was vulnerable no matter what.
Did you ever choose the urinal right next to you, even though the other one was available?
I believe so. Yes.
Oh, this guy definitely wanted.
I believe so. But I do think he was also an extremely tall individual. He was like 6'4", and so I think the short one was on that one end. So I think a lot of people avoid the short one. I think he was going. I don't know. It was tough. But this is your Cal week, not mine. I don't know how we got on this. This is your Cal.
You gotta be the guy that just goes pees in the stall.
At that point,
you've seen this coming more than once. You just gotta take matters in your own hand. You go in the stall. Who cares? You don't have to deal with that. I think it happens more than once. That's a problem.
It does.
Even one time is an issue.
Maybe that's my cow of the week. It wasn't meant to be my cow of the week, but maybe that guy is my cow of the week. Actually, my real cow of the week was going to be, have you been following this Julio Jones situation, Mike? Julio Jones of the Atlanta Falcons was traded now to the Tennessee Titans in a kind of a blockbuster trade. Obviously, Julio is a fantastic wide receiver, and going to a Titans team that was pretty good last year, you would think that would make them better. But one of the interesting subplots that came out is a couple weeks back, Julio Jones, while still a member of the Atlanta Falcons, was received a phone call from Shannon Sharpe, who was live on TV, and basically put him on the air. And it turns out Julio Jones said after this trade to Tennessee that he did not know that he was on the air with Shannon Sharpe when he called him and basically said, "Hey, do you want to play in Atlanta?" And Julio said, "Nah, I'm done there." So it turns out Julio did not know he was on the air. So Shannon Sharpe, his friend, literally set him up, called him live on TV, asked him a question that I assume Julio would not have wanted publicized on TV, only for the pure gain of getting it on TV, Mike. That definitely seems like a low blow, no pun intended there, for me. So Shannon Sharpe gets my cow of the week, Mike, because now that I thought Julio was in on it initially, but now that he's saying he wasn't, although he could just be lying about that, now that he's saying he wasn't in on it, I think Shannon Sharpe definitely gets cow of the week honors.
It seems like it hurt Atlanta's negotiating position because I would have thought they would got more than what they actually got for the trade.
Yeah.
But they got a 2nd rounder this year and a 4th rounder the year after, and they still had to give up a 6th rounder to go with it.
Yeah.
I would have thought Julio, I know people are saying he's getting a little older, but he's still got a few years left in the tank. He's one of the top receivers over the last few years. I think Atlanta kind of got the raw end of this deal. And Tennessee now, with a formidable offense between him and Derrick Henry. You got the running game, you got the passing game now. Tannehill's proven to be a pretty good quarterback over the last few years since leaving Miami. They got a shot now, Tennessee. They're going for it.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta kind of gets the raw deal on this trade.
Yeah, and you're right. That probably did hurt negotiating play. That Julio basically said, "I'm out of here." But again, I thought maybe he was in on it. It was kind of an orchestrated ploy to, get out of there, and that was something he worked up with Shannon Sharpe. But to not know, that's like me and you calling somebody right now. That's like me and you calling Trace Trelko on the air right now and be like, "Hey, what do you really think of this guy?" And just saying that you and I are talking, and then putting it on the podcast. I mean, that just seems like a really low blow. So Shannon Sharpe gets Mike Cowley. Unless you want to call Trace now and do that, by the way.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that sounds like a fun segment.
Okay.
I mean, he did work at other places before us. Maybe we can get something here live on the air and see what he says.
Okay. I mean, maybe next week. Maybe we'll do it on the live show. Let's just put him on the spot while we're there. Questions that Trace doesn't want to answer. That's our new segment on the Sons UCF Live, which, by the way, airs every Thursday night on social media, Mike. So, and make sure you're following us on social media at Sons of UCF, everywhere that you do social media type stuff, including YouTube. Make sure you also subscribe to that YouTube channel. That's where you'll get the live show. Make sure you also follow our website at twonightsmedia.com. Bookmark that thing. One of these days, I'm getting to him, Mike. One of these days, we're going to get those articles posted. So don't you wait. And make sure you also follow Mike on Twitter at UCFMike1. If you're listening on the pod type platform, if there's a little button there that says subscribe, feel free to hit that for us. And if there's a little one there that says like or review or rate, whatever that is, you can hit that too, Mike. I know you did some interesting research this past week. I know why. You must have been sitting in a chair waiting for your fate. Tell me what you learned about the rating system and how we at the Sons of UCF fare against a lot of our competitors.
All right. Well, there's a lot of every podcast now has their saying. The number one rated podcast or the longest running podcast or whatever it is. But I did some research, and if you look up, and it's going to take you a long time to do it because there's about 20 of them now, all the UCF podcasts out there, and you look at the ratings on Apple, we have the highest rating of all UCF podcasts with a 4.9, baby. 4.9.
Mm-hmm.
And that, now I have to make a caveat because there are a few that have 5.0s, but they have less than 5 people rating it. I don't know if we can count that. I think we got to set a limit, at least 5, or at least more people that are actually on the podcast have to, something like that, right? Because it's the ones that have just a 5.0, they only have a handful of people that are rating it. But so if you have more than, let's call it even 50, we are the highest rated podcast at UCF. Maybe not the most rated, like some. Maybe not the longest running, but thanks to you guys who have been out there putting in the 5 stars and putting in the reviews. And I haven't even counted this, but the people who actually leave reviews, I think we have the most actual written reviews of any podcast out there too. And they're all very pleasant. I know there's some of them that have negative comments on there. I won't name names, but I've definitely seen some where people take the time out to write some bad stuff. Which I've always said, I welcome haters. I like people to come in and tell us. I've even tried to do that on the dungeon, where I say, hey, tell us how much we suck, and nobody bites. So maybe we don't suck as much as I think we do. But thank you guys for doing it so far, and if you haven't done it, get out there, click that 5-star, leave us a message, leave a review on there. Tell us what we can be better at, or just tell us how much you love us. Either way, we want to hear from you.
Well, on behalf of the highest rated UCF podcast, my name is Adam, and this is UCF Mike, and we will see you guys all on Thursday on the live show. So until then, highest rated UCF podcast signing off. Go Knights.
Charge on.